Hey folks, welcome to another Tech Talk Tuesday where we're highlighting leaders in technology. And we've got a special guest that we're going to introduce just a second. I'm Chris Reese. This is Todd Bethel with Atlanta Soundworks, and we're glad you could join us today. Our special guest is a dear friend of mine and just a great leader in technology, and especially in the Atlanta area, but he's starting to get a reputation worldwide. Stuart Weaver. Stuart, welcome, and we're so glad you could be with us today.
Thank you, Chris, and good to be with you guys today.
Yes, it's a pleasure is ours. So to give you all a little bit of background on Stuart, Stuart and I met at the MBA program at Georgia State University, and Stuart has had a fantastic career in technology, going way back to Emory as a systems analyst and moving forward to Intercontinental Hotel Groups, where his career really took off. They recognized the talent they had. He served as interim VP of Enterprise System Engineering, then moved into a director role for global operations, and then most recently did some great work for the state of Georgia, serving 3 years as our CIO and CTO for the Georgia Department of Public Health, and now has gone on to form his own consulting firm, AOI Business Consulting, where he's taking that knowledge and experience and helping other organizations leverage technology to create efficiencies and better information flow within the organization, and also implement tools to understand what their data is even telling. So Stuart, we're so glad you could be with us and carve out time with your schedule. How have you been holding up with the whole COVID thing?
Again, thanks, Chris. And I could not have done a better introduction. I was like, oh my gosh, he's aging me. He's taking me and telling that story. And I was like, I forgot. Yeah. No, all is going well. I'll tell you, it has really been, it's really been difficult. And it's difficult because I'm a people person, love the energy and the interaction and that FaceTime. But we're doing the best we can, making sure that, we're staying safe, meeting where I can, virtually doing things like this. I've been in several summits, several conferences, trying to talk and talk more and share with others how important digital transformations are now. Because if you think about it, back in 2019, this wasn't even going on. And I want to say back in 2019, you had only 70%. And think about what I'm saying, 70% of your your digital transformations weren't successful. So can you imagine what's going on right now in 2020? Believe it. So my goal is just to get out there, do as much as I possibly can, and in forums like this to share with team members like yourself on the things they need to do.
Oh, wow. So I guess I'll be the first person to ask the questions. So did you intend to end up in a technology career, or did it just happen?
Okay, and that's a fair question. I've heard stories from CIOs, CTOs, chief digital officers where they went down this doctor track. They were on the lawyer track. They wanted to be a professional sports player. And for some reason or another, they landed in the role of a technologist. Me, on the other hand, I knew ever since I was in the 9th grade. So here I am getting ready to go into my science class. And my science teacher had a magazine or a little article. And in that article, it talked about the future of technology. And back then, they were talking about smart homes. And they didn't call it smart homes then, but they were talking about how you would go home, you'd drive down a well-lit driveway via a voice command. You would actually have your garage door open up. You would go in, your thermostat would be set to a comfortable climate before you arrived at home. And then it would talk about if you wanted to lock your doors and, turn your lighting off. You would actually be able to do that via voice commands. And then if you need to restock your refrigerator, it would tell you that you were out of items. So all of those things were back then. That was IoT in the early 80s. So when I saw that and I read it, I said, oh my gosh, this is my calling. So from there, I really jumped on the bandwagon. I was writing code and doing the coding RPG 1 and 2 of my sophomore year in high school, and Fortran, and then the rest is history. And then so now the story that Chris shared with you, which took me through AT&T, Emory, et cetera, and therefore I'm here at AOI. So this has been my lifelong dream.
So you've obviously had a real successful career path. What was one of the most unexpected things that happened along your journey?
So when you think about technology, and I'll step back, when you think in organizations, there's the three pillars. You have people, process, and technology. And you're going to think that, technology would be the most difficult of those pillars. Well, in fact, that's not true. So what I've learned is that, it doesn't matter about the technology, because the technology, if we can agree, the technology is that enabler for the business to be successful. So when you start talking about that competitive advantage, you start talking about how you increase revenues, how you streamline inefficiencies. The technology is going to do that, but the people aspect, that's what moves the needle. That culture within the organization, that's what makes that change. And so what I've seen throughout my career is that it's been the people in the organizations. You get with a good organization, you find out where there is a change agent and that there's a culture of that change. And then you infuse yourself into that change and mobilize the right resources to move projects forward. So that's what I've seen. I've seen that people pillar being the unexpected, the unexpected thing that I didn't think was so important. I thought you plug it in and it works. You plug the technology in and it works, but not necessarily. As I'm pretty sure you guys know, there's a ton of technology. If we can agree, 80% of all technology will fit within an environment and work. Will it work optimally? Will it work optimally? Maybe not, or maybe it will. But the people aspects is what make that really hum and really focus. So I'd say it's the people.
That change management, right? Those, you could put the greatest technology in, but if you can't get people to use it, and you don't have the process in place to reinforce the utilization of that technology, you're never going to realize the return on that investment.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So who are some of your influencers in your career so far? I mean, who are those people who kind of giving you some guidance and direction? Or who do you look to right now as far as leadership?
Wow, you guys are hitting me with good questions. So influencers, I would say, for me, they started with my partners in my ecosystem. So I'd go back to my past executives at AT&T, my past executives at IHG, and at FIS Global, because I did a stint there as well. What I've found that they've actually helped me and mold me and shape me to the person that I am today. And then now, when you talk about present, I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to sit with leaders, for example, CEO Satya Nadella. So I've had actual meetings at Microsoft. I've actually met with Antonio Neri, the CEO of HPE, before he became CEO. He was in the number 2 spot. Meg had it first, but then before he became CEO. So when you talk about gaining insights and technology leadership, and I continue to follow team members like that, and thought leaders like that to gain wisdom and insight.
Awesome.
Who was it along the course of your career, as far as maybe a manager or mentor, that was the first one you would say really saw the potential within you and took you under their wing to give you that first break, right? Give you that opportunity to be lead on a big project or something?
Yeah. So at AT&T, my first manager, Mark Vayette, and I can call him out because I can still reach out to him to this day. Just an awesome guy. Taught me how to dress, taught me actually, what was important in the from a technology perspective. He actually was at one point. I'm not sure. I know he was the CIO, I believe, of Cricket at one point. But he's out there in like Denver, Colorado, or in Golden. But just a rock star guy, very solid people person, and was really big on mentoring without letting you know he was mentoring you. So he was just a great inspiration. I learned a lot from him, and I talk to him still to this day.
So what do you see right now, Stuart? You're involved and have visibility in a lot of organizations across multiple industries. Some of it's been a little bit more leaning towards public health and public services, those kinds of things. But what do you see as the top 3 technology challenges facing organizations right now?
Mm-hmm. So I see myself, and I'm stepping back, and you're right, Chris. I see myself as that athlete CIO, because I've actually, spent a lot of time across 5 different industries. The communication and retail space, which is AT&T, the healthcare space, which we talked about with Emory, the hospitality and leisure space, which is IHG, the fintech space, which is FIS Global, and then you're right, I did a stint in government with the Department of Public Health. I see 3 challenges. The first one being that digital transformation and business strategy. I see the driving of the digital culture through the organization. And then the last one I see is that consumer privacy and data security as 3 of the top challenges that are facing organizations today. So if you want to peel those back a little bit, we can delve into those. But those I would say are the top 3.
Talk more about when you say digital transformation. That's kind of a buzzword that's out there right now. What do you mean by that? What does that look like as you describe it to a CEO?
Okay, sure. So a digital transformation is not an idea. What a digital transformation is, you are actually taking an initiative from start to completion. It could be an ERP implementation. It can be a learning management rollout. It could be a voice over IP implementation. But that transformation is the company needs this initiative to be done quickly using agile techniques in order for it to be deployed relatively quickly. So that's what I see as a digital transformation. Now stepping back, CIOs have long been considered just technologists. That's it, but not anymore today. Okay, so when I talk about digital transformation and business strategy, they are now becoming more strategic, and they're being asked to do more. So they're saying you're going to put on the hat of the business leader, okay, which I think is the right thing to do. And as you put that hat on, you're going to perform these projects, these digital transformation initiatives throughout the entire business. So it's not saying that the infrastructure is no longer important, because that's still critically important. But if you think about it, a stable network, systems up and running, that's just table stakes. I mean, you need to have that. CEOs, board members, they don't have the patience anymore for not having access to the internet, the WAN being down, having connectivity issues, performance problems with their systems. They just don't have the tolerance for that. So now you're going to see more than ever where CIOs have to have that solid understanding of the current and the future business needs of that organization in order to kick off those projects that I was sharing with you, like if this was an ERP project. Because if they don't, they could potentially risk losing market share to other organizations that are more agile in their strategies.
Do you see specific areas right now that there seems to be a concentration for these digital transformation initiatives? Is it in communications? Is it in, updating back office systems? Do you see some trends where, companies have pushed stuff back but because of things that have happened with COVID, right? There's a lot more remote access that needs to be made available. There's a lot more remote collaboration. Organizations that used to always be in the same office are now having to work as virtual organizations, and almost like, many startups did, from day one. You see specific areas where that digital transformation, those initiatives seem to be aggregating at the moment?
I do, and it depends on what sector that we're talking about. So, if you want to talk about, retail, you're seeing that done. In my opinion, that's going to have to be done more at the websites. If you're talking about the government sector, that's going to have to be done more in the back office. And the reason why I clearly delineate the two is because in retail, so think about retail having that brick and mortar. And that retail brick and mortar, well, you can no longer go there, or if you can, it's not the same experience when you go in. Think of a Pier 1. That experience at Pier 1 before it closed, the experience was to go in. It was like a flea market style shopping event. That was that experience. So you walk in, you would see those types of bargain items, and you would say, "This is what I want." Well, you can't really get that experience virtually, unless you do some really serious customization on the website. Okay, so to me, that initiative has to be done there. Now, for government, let's peel back that onion there and talk about government. So government, they a lot of their offices are still inefficient. They still are running technologies because, again, not that they are broken or antiquated. It's just that they're still working. And as a result of them still working, if it's not, you've heard if it's not broke, don't fix it, leave it alone. And so what they're saying is we're not going to make the investment. They don't see the need to make the digital transformation, but yet the constituents of Georgia do, because they can't access and do the things that they need to do at the site. So I would say back office in places like in the government sector, I think they need to do it quick, fast, in a hurry. It should be done yesterday. And then, of course, like I said, in retail, a lot in the front end on the websites.
Yeah, so you touched on this a little bit, with the pandemic and all the challenges we've been facing. Everything's kind of been thrown up as far as how we do business now, and it's been a really big challenge for most companies. So, are there any new technologies or applications that you are using now, or what leaders may need to be aware of to kind of be more efficient as far as the work environment?
Mm-hmm. If I had to think technologies, because it's a plethora of them, but I'm going to call out 5. I'll call out 5, and I won't say in any particular order, but I think there's a cloud anywhere mandate, and we can come back and peel that back a little bit. But I would say that there's the need for the cloud and build out the cloud to the edge is critical, and companies need to do that quickly, sooner rather than later. I think predictive analytics is going to be hot right now, and I think it's something that we need to be companies need to be focused on because of the importance around getting the information accurately and getting as close to and I don't want to say predicting the future, but as close to the best outcome is important for businesses now. Okay, because and sometimes you only got one shot. Okay, so I want to go after one particular high-end market segment. I'm looking to actually get this particular end of the business. How do I do that? Okay, so using predictive analytics will help you do that. So I think that's big. The other ones I would say, which I'm pretty sure you are aware of, I talked about Internet of Things. So you have right now everything being connected to the internet. Everything from refrigerators, stoves, washer, dryers. Again, that's just in the home life. So what do we think about IoT on that commercial side, where you have to run technology 24/7 and it can't go down and have to self-heal? Okay, so when you talk about IoT, that commercial brand, that's also something that you and a company need to be thinking about. One of the other things I would call out is AI, artificial intelligence. You talk about, and I'm pretty sure you guys know, how many of us have Alexis, familiar with Siri? How many of us are familiar with Google? So that artificial intelligence is going to just do in the next, 5 to 10 years, will continue to grow, and more users will continue to take advantage of that type of technology. And the last one I'd call out is machine language, ML. And the reason why we call it machine language is because now not only are we using the artificial intelligence and asking the Alexas and the Siri's questions, or the Googles, we're now saying, hey, what we want you to do is, because I'm no longer at home, I want you to look across all of the customers that are in the area and turn on a certain number of lights in my home based on the number of watts that are being used in my county, in my city, in my state. So that algorithm, that machine learning is done on that end. So something as simple as that, you can leverage machine learning to do things like that. So I would say those are 5. Like I said, there's a couple other ones. You got end-to-end automation, you have 5G, but like I said, I can go on and on and on, but those are my top 5.
We got a lot of work on our hands then.
Absolutely.
Most
Absolutely.
not even to that point. They're struggling just to keep up with getting their their workers back into the doing daily work, so to speak. So it's a big challenge, but those are great ideas that you mentioned as far as looking forward.
Cool. Okay.
All right, so now we're going to lighten it up a little bit.
Okay.
If you could have dinner with anybody from the past or present, who would it be and why?
If I could have dinner, that depends. Is this a casual dinner or business dinner?
Wow. Okay. Whichever.
You pick.
You can pick.
Okay.
We're going to get a little
So,
insight into whether Stuart is all business or likes to have a little fun too.
there we go. So if it was business, I tell you, I'd have to it's got to be Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, hands down. And the reason why I'd want to have dinner with him is because I'd pitch him a potential business opportunity. I have the idea, he has the cash. So it would definitely be Jeff Bezos. If it was a casual dinner, it'd have to be the former President Barack Obama.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I caught a few of his shows. He was on was it Anthony Bourdain, and Anthony Bourdain is the gentleman that travels all over the world, and he's eating all these different foods. So President Obama was in South Korea. Him and Anthony Bourdain were eating, and so he just was really never going back and forth with the bantering, and you just saw the dialogue and the coolness. And he's just a cool dude. And then I just recently saw on Netflix. Matter of fact, Chris, you sent over the what was it? Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was Jerry Seinfeld. So and he was interviewing the president, and you can see that, like I said, to be a president, he was very, just cool, just a really cool dude. So if it's casual, we're drinking some wine or a beer, it would definitely be former President Barack Obama. Those would be my 2.
Cool.
So the last question, this one's kind of hits home for me because I have, my kids are just finishing up college, but they're really heavily into technology. I mean, I think young people, for the most part, are born into technology these days. It comes natural to them. So what advice do you have for a young person with ambitions of becoming like a senior technology executive like yourself?
Okay. You'll like this one, Chris. There's no, and it's a quote, there's no traffic jam on the extra mile. That is by Roger Staubach. That's why I figured he would like that, because he's a Texas, he's a Texas boy. So yeah, so my opinion, Todd, is that I would tell any youngster, and I even tell some of my mentees this, that don't align to software coding, infrastructure, hardware, data lakes, data analytics, cybersecurity, networks, et cetera. And I said, because the names and the players are going to change, and they change so quickly. I said, but however, I encourage everyone to just embrace what is current and be open to continuous learning as the evolution of technology is not complete. And if they can do that, I think they'll be fine.
Awesome.
What resources would you guide them to? Maybe they don't have a strong technology program at their school. That's just not something that, for whatever reason, that they have access to through the traditional educational channels. Are there certain resources you can steer them to where they can get that information and stay up to speed and continue to grow themselves?
Sure. So there's even programs for less fortunate, if you will. There's organizations like Gear Up that they can actually be a part of. I know that several young men and women have come through that program, taking cybersecurity, computer programming, system administration, and again, they just really stuck their toe into that technology, and then off they went. And they're at some of the largest companies now. They started off as an intern, and then it grew into a full-time job. And they had, again, a lot of times you had the single parent, and you didn't have that push to go to school, or for whatever reason you didn't make it to college, and they did those things. So a program like Gear Up, I participate. I help and donate and try to support as much as I can. There's another program that it just changed its name, but I want to say it was like Atlanta. Man, I gotta remember. So Robert Hicks is he's the CEO of the organization. But that's another. There's 2 or 3 programs, like I said, right? But I can't remember the last 2 off the top of my head. But they're definitely out there that would be awesome for youngsters that I would encourage to look into. As far as being tapped on the shoulder to be next, think about organizations like TechBridge, which is really good. Women in IT, Girls That Code. There's organizations that are out there that again, that'll will tap them and will help them move through the ranks. But they just have to be, like I said, willing to step out there. Because again, if they're willing to step out there and they embrace it, like the sky's the limit.
Fantastic. Well, Stuart, thank you so much for being so generous with your time and sharing with our viewers today. We're glad you could be our guest. And for those of you watching, if we could answer any technology questions that you have, that's kind of our business at Atlanta Sound Works, whether it's communications or pro audio, video, and lighting. We're here to help you and answer those questions, and we'd be happy to do it. I want to be sure that you like and follow us on all our social media channels. We're on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, the usual subjects. And we want to also encourage you to reach out to Stuart and his organization. I'm sure he'd love to visit with you and see where he could help you achieve your goals with some of the initiatives that have maybe been a roadblock or just helping create some awareness of maybe some areas within your organization where you might need to create some new initiatives to help keep you moving forward. So Stuart, thanks again, and we appreciate everybody being with us for another Tech Talk Tuesday.
You're welcome. Take care, guys.
All right, thanks, Stuart. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.